Hi there. So it's been a while, sorry about that, but I just wanted to make a really quick video about a book that I read called Red City by Marie Lu. This is an author that I've read most of her books. I haven't read Kingdom of Back, and I didn't read her debut series called the Legend series, which she is most well known for. This was, during the era of like Divergent, Hunger Games, all of the dystopia YA books that were coming out at that time. This was her version of it. I do want to revisit that one day, but I'm just like not in the headspace for like young adult, and it probably won't be for a while. But anyway, Red City is her adult fantasy debut, and that's something I didn't know until I like read the book. I didn't really like read the synopsis beforehand. I just knew it was going to be set in Los Angeles, and I am from Los Angeles, or Los Angeles County. But yeah, there is like some sexual content. It's not like gratuitous, just fair warning. But this is like, it actually was pretty important to move the plot forward to kind of develop these characters more and like their relationships. So, unlike most like romance erotica books that have like sexually explicit content, this actually has a purpose and it's not just there to like, get you horny. Let me read the synopsis here. Uh, this is a dark and deadly contemporary fantasy of magical warfare, star-crossed ambition, and the pursuit of perfection at any cost, set in a glittering alternate Los Angeles. Alchemy is the hidden art of transformation, an exclusive power wielded by crime syndicates that market it to the world's elites in the form of sand, a drug that enhances those who take it into a more perfect version of themselves, more beautiful, more charismatic, simply more. Among the gleaming skyscrapers and rolling foothills of Angel City, alchemy is controlled by two rival syndicates. For years, Grand Central and Luminous have been balanced on a razor's edge between polite negotiation and outright violence. But when two childhood friends step into that delicate equation, the city and the paths of their lives will be irrevocably changed. Irrevocably changed. Or transformed. The daughter of a poor single mother, Sam would do anything to claw her way into the ranks of Grand Central in search of a better life. Plucked away from his family as a boy to become a Luminous apprentice, Ari is one of the syndicate's brightest rising stars. Once, they might have loved each other, but as the two alchemists face off across opposite sides of an ever-escalating conflict, ambition becomes power, loyalty becomes lies, and no transformation may be perfect enough for them both to survive the coming war. So we kind of have this like not exactly a Romeo Juliet situation, but they both belong to like different warring factions. We have a dual POV, dual protagonist kind of thing. But I actually would argue that Sam, the daughter, of a Chinese immigrant is actually the main character in this book. I think maybe Ari will be more focused in the sequel, at least I hope so, because that is like one of the things I was kind of disappointed in this book was that we didn't get much to highlight Ari as a character. We didn't really also like develop the friendship between the two when they were in school together, nor like like their attraction or their like romantic feelings towards each other. It was very like uh kind of hastily thrown together in my opinion. I wish there was a stronger foundation there because I as a reader was not very convinced that they were in love. I wasn't really convinced that they were like I'm willing to die for you kind of love that this, the plot of this book kind of expects the characters to have to like, go through. That's like one of my biggest gripes with this book is that we didn't get like 100 more pages to kind of like develop that. But I will say like I found myself reaching for this book anytime that I have free time. Like I needed to know what was happening next. I liked the action. I loved the backstabbing. I loved all of the, morally gray characters and just straight up evil characters that are in this book. Um, it was like just fun. I hadn't had a book that was like fun in a while. I think If We Were Villains was kind of like, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't um like straight action. It was just, like a person talking about the past kind of thing to explain everything. Um, but yeah, there was like another thing. There was like a plot twist that kind of saw it coming like a mile away. But I was mostly interested in how Marie Lu would kind of uh like work the character and their motivations into an angle. I didn't know how it would like fit into the rest of the narrative, but I really like, enjoyed that like none of these characters are all like black and white, like good and evil and bad. Except for that's one like serial killer guy. He definitely is evil. But yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed this story for what it was. Like it talks about greed, power, sacrificing yourself for your loved ones is not necessarily like uh, it is justifiable, but it can come to a detriment of both the person you're trying to protect and yourself. So there's never like it's not always like a net positive gain. I really enjoyed how she included stories of like that. And I actually like kind of cried during a part because this is very much a story about immigrants and assimilation and how money can kind of corrupt people who are not like born and bred into this kind of environment, and even the people who are born and bred into the environment, like they are corrupted in general. And I really enjoyed that kind of narrative that she was weaving in between all of the characters. But I wish I could have seen more consequences of like using sand, using alchemy, like being in a world that is so dominated by the usage of sand, which I refer to in the synopsis. It's kind of like the drug that these alchemists have created to kind of enhance people's like beauty and charisma and all of that. I wish we had more of that. There were like little snippets of it. So I would say like the world building of this book is like it's there, but it's not fully fleshed out. And I would just want, I think it is just like a me thing. It's like I want things to be more um punishing. I want consequences to actually feel like a consequence because it doesn't feel like a consequence if someone can just do whatever they want and then like they don't suffer for it. Like you're just overpowered at that point. But yeah, so let me just switch back to another positive that I liked is that like this again, this story is like about Los Angeles, which is a city built by immigrants, and there's a huge immigrant population in Los Angeles. It's so very vast and so very big, and it's beautiful. It's ugly and beautiful and all of those things, and I just, it's one of my favorite places to be. It's like definitely not my favorite city, but it is like somewhere where I can call home, and it feels like home to me. And that like I don't know, this book like was like just it perfectly encapsulates that, like, not just because like I'm Taiwanese and then like, Sam is a Chinese immigrant, and her mother is a Chinese immigrant, but like it really just I could like, reading the author's note, like Marie Lu, like she talks about her, like she touches on her experience like being a Chinese immigrant to America and how her mom brought her to New Orleans, Louisiana, which I don't know if, like many of you know, but New Orleans is like, or Louisiana in general is like a very humid, very warm state. It is so warm there. And so Marie Lou asked her mom like, why do we come to New Orleans? And she said, and she responded, well, if we ever, end up being homeless, we will not freeze to death in the streets. So I was like, damn, like, you can really feel Marie Lou's like experience with poverty and being an immigrant. Like you can feel that woven into Sam, which is what makes Sam like such a good, like complex rounded character, is because we have so much of like, Marie Lou's like own experience, put into that, which is why I'm sorry to say I think Ari kind of suffers from that really personal touch. I'm not saying that like, authors shouldn't write what they don't know, but I wish a little bit more was put into developing his character, because it feels like he's just Sam's, like, a character to prop up Sam. I didn't feel like he was a very good character in, like, by himself. Like, he didn't really shine by himself. If that, like, that's like kind of what I want to say. Sorry if I'm rambling. Like, overall, I give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know how many books there are in this series, and like I can't really, like, Goodreads doesn't really say. I want to say it's duology. I don't know why, but I want to say it is. It might be more. I do hope the rest of the books are, like, good, because I do want to read more about this world. I want to read more about, like, the characters that were introduced in this first book. I want to read more about new characters, maybe. Like, I think it's just like there's so much you can play with here, and this is like a really fun playground, I think. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one, and thank you guys for watching this video.